Hi, this is Jamie with Tru-Knit. I'm doing a voiceover on this video. What we're going to make today is the star lace ornament. Now, on the Tru-Knit, I put the tension all the way as loose as it would go. Then I engaged my heel spring, and I have two pieces of waste yarn that I keep making ornaments with. So I was finishing off that waste yarn. Now I'm going to bring in my project yarn and thread it through the machine. Honestly, I thought that I was doing a high-speed one, not a normal speed one. So I'm going to make sure that I have both yarns knit on one needle. Then I'm going to engage my heel spring. Whoops, forgot. Now I'm going to engage my heel spring. Okay, 3 rows. Now we're going to raise every other needle from D to B. Okay, crank forward to A, raise every other needle from B to D. Crank 3 rows. Technically, it's 2 3/4 rows. You're going to lower the raised needle, lower, raise, lower, raise. You can raise, lower. It doesn't really matter as long as you keep track. We're always going to either stop at 6 o'clock, which is C, or we're going to stop at A, which is midnight. That way we know which half of the needles we are working. Now, I fear that this is going to get a little bit like watching paint dry, but you can see the first pattern. Now we're going to raise lower, raise lower, raise lower, raise lower, raise lower, raise lower, raise lower. Crank forward to A, raise lower, 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 and crank 3 rows, technically 2 3/4. Now I'm not going to keep saying that for this whole entire video, but that also means I have to make up things to say while you're watching all these rows. I just don't even know what to say here. But knowing me, I'll come up with something. I've been spending 2 weeks with my dad, and he can talk to a fence post. So, let's see. Now, the undyed yarn is available on a cone from CSM Supplies. I also have skeins if you don't want to make 5 million ornaments. I also have Christmas yarn at CSM Supplies. Did you know that's my website too? Did I tell you I'm Jamie Mayfield? Let's see. Well, you'll know if I start repeating myself that I have definitely been hanging around with my dad too much. For the Tru-Knit, for this operation, I found that I needed about 55 total rows for the ornament. So I'd reset my counter before I started the video. Now, you can see that I always don't take my own advice and I don't crank far enough. But I was trying very hard not to drop any stitches while y'all were watching. Because if you drop a stitch on this project, guess what? It's pretty much do-over. Do-over, do-over, do-over. Now, if I get a little cocky, I drop a stitch. So I was concentrating very hard, which for this many minutes in a row, it's kind of crazy. But it is fascinating watching the stitches form in this beautiful lace pattern. Miss Jenny calls this easy lace. And I have never made it. Oh, here. Okay, Jeff came in and got the dog. So now we can continue on with our video. Okay. Be very careful when you put those needles down into work that the latches are open. As you can see here, I'm relying on the silver bullet to open those latches, which is a nice feature on the Tru-Knit, but not everybody has one. If I had anything to do with it, they would all have one. Now, if you're interested in looking at how much a Tru-Knit is and seeing what all you get with the machine, you can go to Tru-Knit.com. And it's Tru-Knit because if I didn't put the hyphen in there, it would look like Chuck-a-Knit. Which I might have to put that on my license plate. I don't know. I just had that wonderful idea right then and there. See, my attention span? Whew. It's kind of scary sometimes. But like I said, be very, very careful that those latches are open when you put your needles down because, especially now, if you drop a stitch, you're still going to have to start over. So, bottom line is, you probably ought to practice this before and get your tension right so you don't drop stitches. If they're too loose, they'll drop. If they're too tight, you can't see the ornament, the laciness of the ornament. I like to pull the ornament very taut, or the knitting very taut over the ornament. But if you force it too hard, bang, you break the yarn, and then guess what? Yes, it's another do-over. I had to do this ornament in complete silence. Let's see, I think I decided to do a couple more patterns. Raise, lower, raise, lower. Raise, lower, raise, lower, raise, lower, raise, lower. Just trying to do it very deliberately, but not demurely. Ha ha, that was a joke. Did you get it? You have to watch TikTok, I think. Oh, now we're going to put all the needles down. We're going to go a couple rows. Then we'll change back to waste yarn. Okay, getting ready to change over to waste yarn. Leave myself a decent enough tail so that I can gather those stitches. The one I left there was just a little bit too dramatically long, but that's okay. Now I've got my next little cone of waste yarn that I keep using over and over again. So I will crank until the waste yarn runs out. Now, I want you to be very careful when you're cranking every other needle like this. You need to crank twice as much waste yarn as what you think you need because those stitches really like to drop and run. And that's no fun. And we'll take it out off the machine, get our weights off, and look, it's hanging there. I gathered stitches on each end. And I hope you enjoyed this video.